One of the biggest mistakes a new creator can make has nothing to do with YouTube, and it happens before they upload their very first video. The strange part is, most people don't even realize they're making it. Spend enough time watching YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and suddenly online business starts looking incredibly simple. Start a channel, use a few AI tools, upload some videos, make $10,000 a month, and quit your job. That's the dream being sold, but almost nobody talks about what happens when it actually starts working. The hardest business decisions aren't the ones you make before you start. They're the ones you don't even realize you're supposed to make. Now, before we go any further, I should probably explain something. The Honest Chase operates under an existing business structure, not because this YouTube channel needed one, but because I already owned one. I was already operating businesses long before this channel existed. I already have a company. I already have a trust. I already have accountants. So technically, I never had to ask myself the questions we're about to go through. But over the last few months, I've caught myself wondering something. If somebody wiped all of that away tomorrow, if I had to start again from absolute zero, knowing everything I know today, what would I actually do? The answers surprised me, because I wouldn't rebuild what I already have. I'd ask myself 4 completely different questions. And in my experience, the last one is where most people get it wrong. I've built businesses before. I've made expensive mistakes. I've also made decisions that looked productive without actually moving the business forward. So this isn't legal advice. It's simply the framework I'd personally use if I had to build everything again from scratch. Some of the legal names I'll mention are Australian because that's where I operate. If you're somewhere else, the names may be different, but the thinking behind them isn't. And if you're interested in building an online business the right way, not just the fast way, consider subscribing. Every week we're investigating another question that most creators don't even realize they're supposed to ask. Question 1. Can I start today? Notice I didn't ask, should I register a company? Should I create a trust? Should I hire an accountant? Those questions come later. The first question is much simpler. Can I legitimately start operating? For me, here in Australia, that simply means registering for an ABN. The name isn't important, the principle is. I want to be able to operate legitimately. I want to track every dollar coming in and every dollar going out, every AI subscription, every microphone, every camera, every software bill, every affiliate payment. Because before you can improve a business, you first have to understand it. Once you've done that, I'd stop worrying about the paperwork. Because paperwork doesn't build businesses. Execution does. Question 2. Has anyone actually said yes? This is where everything changes because it's incredibly easy to confuse activity with progress. You can spend weeks designing logos, building websites, setting up social media accounts, researching AI tools, watching YouTube videos, or even opening a business bank account before you've made your first dollar. All of those things feel productive. None of them prove you've built a business. They simply prove you've prepared for one. And there's a big difference. If I had to start again tomorrow, I'd become obsessed with evidence. Not excitement, evidence. Has somebody watched my content? Have they subscribed because they found value? Have they clicked an affiliate link? Have they bought something? Has anyone actually said yes? Because businesses aren't built on excitement, they're built on evidence. One sale doesn't prove a business. One viral video doesn't prove a business. Consistency proves a business. Something that tells you you're solving a real problem for real people. Until I had that evidence, I wouldn't make the business any more complicated than it needed to be. Because paperwork doesn't build businesses. Execution does. Actually, looking back now, what's one thing you've spent money on that you really didn't need? Maybe it was a course. Maybe it was software. Maybe it was a logo. Leave it in the comments. I'd genuinely love to see if we've all made the same mistakes. Because once the market has finally said yes, the next question isn't, how do I grow faster? It's, can I actually afford to keep going? Question 3. So let's say you've done the first 2 things. You've started. You've proved people actually want what you're building. Now the next question becomes much more interesting. Can I actually afford to keep going? This was the question I underestimated the most. Not because I didn't understand business, but because I underestimated consistency. Everyone gets excited about month 1. The new camera, the new microphone, the AI subscriptions, the software, the excitement. What's much harder is budgeting for month 6 or month 12. If you watched my last episode, you'll know this channel already costs me around $400 to $500 Australian dollars every month just to operate. AI tools, software, subscriptions, it all adds up. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Because every one of those expenses has a purpose. What I'd be careful of is spending money simply because it makes you feel like you're building a business. Businesses aren't built by looking busy. They're built by consistently creating value. That's why I believe consistency is actually a business expense, not just motivation, not just discipline, a business expense. Because if I can't afford to keep showing up, it doesn't matter how good my business structure is. None of it matters if the business disappears 6 months later. So before you spend another dollar, I'd ask myself one question. Is this helping me build a better business? Or is it just helping me feel like I'm building one? Because those are two very different things. Because once the market has finally said yes, and you know you can keep showing up, there's only one question left. Has the business actually earned a better structure? That brings me to question 4, the one I think most people get wrong. Has the business actually earned a better structure? Notice I didn't ask, should I register a company? Because that's the wrong question. Businesses don't become successful because of their structure. Their structure changes because they became successful. There's a big difference. Think about where we started. First, we made sure we could legitimately begin. Then, we proved people actually wanted what we were building. And then, we made sure we could afford to keep showing up. Now, and only now, do I start thinking about changing the structure around the business. Why? Because the business has changed. Maybe it's producing consistent income. Maybe you're bringing on contractors. Maybe you're hiring employees. Maybe you've got assets worth protecting. Maybe your accountant starts telling you it's time to think differently. Those aren't YouTube problems, they're business problems. And business structures exist to solve business problems, not future business problems, today's business problems. For me, that's exactly why The Honest Chase sits inside an existing business structure. Not because YouTube required it, because I already had one. I was already operating businesses long before this channel existed. If I was starting today with absolutely nothing, I honestly wouldn't try to recreate all of that. I'd let the business earn it. Because paperwork doesn't build businesses. Execution does. And if there's one thing I'd want you to take away from this episode, it's this. Don't build the business you hope to have. Build the business you've earned. When I started putting this episode together, I thought I was making a video about business structures. By the end, I realized I was actually making a video about understanding what stage your business is at. Because every stage asks a different question. And if you answer the right question at the right time, the next decision becomes much more obvious. So if you're just starting out, don't feel the need to have everything figured out today. Just solve today's problem, then tomorrow's. Then let the business tell you what it needs next. Before you go, I'd love to know, which of those 4 questions changed the way you think the most? Leave it in the comments below. I read every single one. My name is Chase, and this is The Honest Chase, and we are only just getting started.